His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa received a cable congratulations from the Speaker of the Representatives Council Ahmed Lamsallam, marking the International Day of Democracy on September 15th. The Speaker highlighted the importance of Bahrain's legislative authority achievements within the framework of the comprehensive development process led by His Majesty the King. He affirmed that these achievements resulted in a qualitative leap in the comprehensive development process and sustainable democratic reform, noting that the National Action Charter, which underpinned principles for further developing the state of law and institutions, launched a new era for political development in the kingdom. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa received a cable of congratulations from the Shura Council Chairman Ali Saleh, marking the International Day of Democracy on the 15th of September, which is marked by World Parliaments and the International Parliamentary Union. Saleh expressed pride in Bahrain's achievements led by His Majesty's support and patronage of the legislative authority since the launch of the comprehensive development process to boost parliamentary and political participation. He affirmed that these achievements resulted in a qualitative leap in the comprehensive development process and sustainable democratic reform, strengthening the state of law institutions as well as the advancement of parliamentary life and political participation, thereby improving Bahrain's economic development, stability and prosperity. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa met with the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken at the State Department as part of his official visit to the United States. His Royal Highness and the Secretary signed a historic bilateral agreement, the Comprehensive Security, Integration and Prosperity Agreement, which forms a cornerstone for cooperation not only for Bahrain and the U.S., but also globally, as it represents a new architecture for bilateral and multilateral cooperation. The Comprehensive Security, Integration and Prosperity Agreement will enhance Bahrain-U.S. cooperation across a range of areas, from defense and security to emerging technology, trade and investment. Secretary Blinken welcomed Bahrain's role as one of the U.S. longest-standing and closest partners in the Middle East, as both a non-NATO ally and a major security partner, noting that the agreement will strengthen coordination between both nations' armed forces and further integrate intelligence capacity to deter and respond to threats as they arise. He emphasized the agreement's role in identifying new bilateral investment opportunities, which build on the two nations' 2006 free trade agreement, which has more than tripled in trade and investment to $3 billion per year. He noted that the agreement further enhances scientific and technical cooperation and information exchange in areas such as health security and digital technology, adding that the agreement is also the first binding U.S. international agreement of its kind in developing and deploying trusted technologies. He also noted that the U.S. and Bahrain look forward to using this agreement as a framework for additional countries that wish to join the U.S. and Bahrain in strengthening regional stability, economic cooperation, and technological innovation. His Royal Highness praised the critical importance of the historic bilateral agreement, noting the profound global challenges and choices that are faced between the rise of authoritarianism and libertarianism and the international rules-based order that manifested itself in the early 19th century. He said that rules-based order was the foundation of freedom of trade, the movement of ideas, and the movement of people all over the world, and that Bahrain and the U.S. are beneficiaries of those common values. His Royal Highness welcomed the agreement's role in focusing not only on security and defense, but also on economic and technological cooperation, and that the signing will be the foundation for a new global architecture, given the open-ended nature of the agreement. His Royal Highness reaffirmed Bahrain's commitment to further deepening Bahrain-U.S. relations and implementing the new Comprehensive Security, Integration and Prosperity Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and a privilege to be standing in front of you on this historic day. I have witnessed the closeness of our two countries, and I have understood through deed and word what it has taken to get us to this point. Long ago, over 130 years ago, a group of missionaries came and established the first, we could call it hospital, but I think it was really just it was a small little health center that did become, in fact, a hospital in 1903. We were the first forward operating base for the US Navy in the Middle East, in the Kingdom of Bahrain, 1948, I believe. We have consistently been the first to promulgate the free trade agreement that we did as the first GCC country to sign it. And we are the first country to create the US trade zone that we believe is going to be the foundation of something that we are both so passionately working towards. You articulated exactly what this agreement is about. It is of, I believe, a sense of imperativeness, a need. The world today is faced by a number of choices. People are faced by a number of choices. Either the rise of authoritarianism or the growth of libertarianism. And the international rules-based order that manifested itself in the early 19th century was the foundation for the freedom of trade, of the movement of ideas, of people all over the world. And we're all beneficiaries of that. And those common values, the values of a Bedouin in the desert of Arabia who could pick up his house and move if he didn't like the level of rainfall he had or something, is essentially the freedom to go where one wants to go, to live how one wants to live, and to build a future for one's children that is hopefully brighter than the one that they lived. This agreement, by focusing not only on security and defense, which is essential, but also on the economy, on people, and on technology, will be the foundation for a new global architecture, I believe, as it's open-ended. It's an open agreement. We will be welcoming more members, hopefully, that I think is as significant as the decisions that were taken after many of the global upheavals historically. So we are setting sail confidently. We are reaffirming our direction. And I couldn't be more honored on behalf of His Majesty to be here to sign this agreement on this day with you in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
For his part, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken affirmed that Bahrain is one of the U.S. long-standing and closest partners in the Middle East.
This moment reflects a great deal of hard work from our teams, and I want to applaud as well all of my colleagues on the American side for the work that they put into this. And I believe helps us define the very promising work ahead. As both a major non-NATO ally and a major security partner, Bahrain is already one of the United States' longest-standing and closest partners in the Middle East. In today's meeting, we'll discuss how to deepen our strategic partnership, including through the framework that brings us here today, the Comprehensive Security Integration and Prosperity Agreement. This agreement deepens our cooperation in three very important ways. First, it expands our security and defense collaboration. For more than 25 years, of course, Bahrain has hosted the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, and we stand shoulder to shoulder in our mission to secure critical shipping lanes that sustain the entire global economy. This agreement will strengthen coordination between our armed forces and the integration of our intelligence capacities, allowing us to even better deter and respond to threats as they arise. Second, it enhances our economic relationship. Since 2006, our free trade agreement has more than tripled trade and investment to about $3 billion a year. Today's agreement builds on this, in part by identifying new investment opportunities for the private sector partners in the United States. And third, at a moment when technology holds so much potential to better our lives, this agreement advances scientific and technical cooperation between our countries, including through increased information sharing and exchanges between our people. And already, we're collaborating in areas like health security and digital technology. I think we'll see With today's signing, all of this become elevated. We'll start the process of working together on renewable energy, on carbon capture technologies, and other cutting-edge endeavors. This agreement is also the first binding U.S. international agreement of its kind of remote cooperation in developing and deploying trusted technologies, which are vital to protecting our critical systems and our people's privacy, all of this from bad actors. But I think when you step back, at the heart of the agreement is a shared goal, working together to build a region that is more secure, that's more prosperous, and that's more connected to the world economy. We're looking forward to using this agreement as a framework for additional countries that may wish to join us in strengthening regional stability, economic cooperation, and technological innovation. In our meeting, Your Royal Highness, I also very much look forward to discussing ways to continue advancing regional integration, something that Bahrain has been in the forefront of doing. This is the third anniversary this week of the Abraham Accords, through which Bahrain became one of the first countries to normalize relations with Israel. Bahrain has continued its leadership through the Negev Forum. The Foreign Minister and I were participants in its first meeting. Our two countries are co-leading efforts in the forum to strengthen cooperation on regional security and health, another very important item on our agenda today. We'll also continue our dialogue on the full range of human rights issues, which are a core pillar of the United States foreign policy. That includes areas like combating trafficking in persons, where Bahrain continues to make important headway. It also includes ensuring that fundamental freedoms are protected, which contributes to Bahrain's progress. For more than 130 years now, Bahrain and the United States have forged a partnership that has evolved to meet the challenging needs of our people and the changing needs of our people. From Americans building a school and hospital in Manama in the early 20th century, to the start of our diplomatic relations more than 5 decades ago, to our troops serving side by side in Operation Desert Storm in the 1990s. Today's agreement that we're about to sign builds on that very proud and important history. It ensures that this vital relationship between our countries will continue to do what it needs to do, which is to deliver for our people, and, I believe, help build a more positive future for people throughout the region.
His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa met with the U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan at the White House. The meeting took place as part of His Royal Highness's official visit to the United States. The U.S. National Security Advisor reaffirmed the United States' enduring commitment to Bahrain's security and thanked His Royal Highness for Bahrain's steadfast partnership, which includes hosting the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet and the headquarters of the U.S. Naval Forces Central Command. His Royal Highness noted that long-standing Bahrain-U.S. relations are based on shared values of fairness, justice, tolerance, peace, and diversity. They praised the signing of the new Comprehensive Security Integration and Prosperity Agreement, which will serve as a cornerstone for cooperation among a broader group of countries that share mutual interests and a common vision with regards to deterrence, diplomacy, and escalation. The Bahrain and U.S. delegations discussed opportunities to strengthen economic and commercial ties under the new agreement, including a target of summer 2024 to launch direct flights between Bahrain and the U.S. His Royal Highness and Sullivan also discussed exploring bilateral cooperation on the development of commercial advanced small modular reactors in line with shared goals of deploying innovative zero-carbon technologies. They pledged to stay in regular contact in the coming weeks and months to oversee implementation of the agreement. His Royal Highness and the Bahraini delegation also participated in bilateral technology dialogue with senior U.S. officials at the White House to explore ways of deepening cooperation on critical and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa arrived in the U.S. on an official visit to meet with senior officials from the U.S. administration. His Royal Highness held discussions to develop bilateral relations and cooperation to meet common aspirations. Upon arrival, His Royal Highness was received by the National Security Advisor, Secretary General of the Supreme Defense Council, and Commander of the Royal Guard, His Highness Lieutenant General Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al-Zayani, the Minister of Finance and National Economy, Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, the Minister of Sustainable Development, Noor Al-Khalif, the Ambassador of Bahrain to the U.S., Sheikh Abdullah bin Rashid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, and senior officials.
Based on its well-established principles and its wise foreign policy, the Kingdom of Bahrain based its historical relations with the United States on solid constants and international foundations that were strengthened over the years. Bahrain and the US have shared major political and diplomatic agreements on many regional and international issues and maintained international security and stability in various security, military, and economic fields. Bahrain and the US have shared major political and diplomatic agreements on many regional and international issues and maintained international security and stability in various security, military, and economic fields, with continuous guidance and support from Their Majesties, the Kings of Bahrain and US presidents throughout history. Over the years, the harmony of Bahrain-US relations positively reflected on cooperation and partnership between the two countries and resulted in the development of relations, especially in the areas of political, security, military, and economic cooperation. The two sides demonstrated the depth of their relations and their political and diplomatic agreements on many pivotal regional and international issues, in addition to their continued participation in many strategic military and security alliances in the region. A wise approach was established by His Majesty the King and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister to achieve the highest levels of cooperation and coordination between Bahrain and the US. The free trade agreement between the two countries constituted a major turning point in developing constructive cooperation that enhanced economic cooperation and contributed to the growth of mutual trade and strengthening Bahrain's position as a strategic financial and commercial center in the region.
His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa received a cable of congratulations from the Speaker of the Representatives Council Ahmed Al-Msallam, commemorating International Day of Democracy. As-Salih expressed his pride in the Kingdom of Bahrain's achievements, led by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and supported by His Royal Highness, which contributed to the Kingdom's growth and success in various sectors, as well as strengthening Bahrain's position in parliamentary work. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa received a cable of congratulations from the Chairman of the Shura Council As-Salih, commemorating International Day of Democracy. As-Salih expressed his pride in the Kingdom of Bahrain's achievements, led by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and supported by His Royal Highness, which contributed to the Kingdom's growth and success in various sectors, as well as strengthening Bahrain's position in parliamentary work. The Chairman of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports, Chairman of the General Sports Authority and President of Bahrain Olympic Committee, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, received the Chairman of Amman Olympic Committee, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed Al Zubair, and his accompanying delegation in the presence of GSO Vice Chairman, His Highness Sheikh Salman bin Mohammed Al Khalifa, Cabinet Affairs Ministry Under Secretary and BOC Vice President, His Highness Sheikh Isa bin Ali bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, GSA CEO Dr. Abdurrahman Askar, and BOC Secretary General Faris Al Kohaji. His Highness Sheikh Khalid hailed the strong relations between Bahrain and Amman in various fields, especially the sports field, led by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq of Amman. They discussed enhancing cooperation between the two countries' Olympic committees by exchanging expertise and experiences to serve the Olympic movement in both countries, hailing the progress and achievement in the Ammani Olympic Committee. For his part, Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed expressed thanks and appreciation to His Highness for the generous hospitality and noted the historical relations between the two countries. He affirmed the importance of enhancing sports cooperation between the two sides, wishing Bahrain continued progress and prosperity. The Under-Secretary of Cabinet Affairs and Honorary President of the Good Word Society, His Highness Sheikh Isa bin Ali Al Khalifa, delivered a speech at the ceremony of the conclusion of the 13th edition of His Highness's Award for Voluntary Work, attended by Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Khalid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, which is organized by the Good Word Society in cooperation with the Arab Volunteer Union to honor the pioneers of volunteer work in the Arab world. His Highness affirmed that the award is in line with the directives of His Majesty the King and the follow-up of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, which aims to promote the values of volunteerism as one of the basic pillars for the progress of societies. His Highness praised the keenness of the representative of His Majesty the King for Humanitarian Work and Youth Affairs, His Highness Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, and the first Deputy Chairman of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports, Chairman of the General Sports Authority and President of Bahrain Olympic Committee, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, to advance youth work in the Kingdom. He extended his thanks and appreciation to the Deputy Prime Minister and Ministers for attending the ceremony and to the President and members of the Good Word Society and the Arab Volunteer Union for the sincere efforts they make in the service of Arab volunteer and humanitarian work. He also appreciated the contributions and support of the sponsors supporting the award and all the partners for their great contributions to making this event a success. The ceremony witnessed the honoring of 15 prominent figures among the pioneers of volunteer work in the Arab world in appreciation of their outstanding and distinguished contributions to humanitarian work. The Minister of Oil and Environment and Special Envoy for Climate Affairs, Dr. Mohammed bin Dana, inaugurated the fuel farm project at the Bahrain International Airport, the BIA, in the presence of the Chairman of Bahrain Airport Jet Fuel Company and Group CEO of Babco Energies, Mark Thomas, and the CEO of Bahrain Airport Company, Mohammed Al Bin Falah, as well as senior officials. The Minister affirmed that the current development and implementing economic projects contributed to achieving the objectives of the comprehensive development process led by His Majesty the King and reflected the directives of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister. He welcomed the modernization of services, oil facilities and infrastructure in BIA through utilizing advanced and efficient technologies that is compliant with environmental standards and international health and safety measures. Dr. bin Dana said that the project came to meet the increased demand on jet fuel as the global aviation sector recovers its levels of activity following COVID-19 pandemic. He said that the 77,000 square meter fuel farm and a fuel capacity of 30,000 cubic meters was expected to add value by streamlining jet fuel supply and maintenance operations in BIA.
The new Backjet fuel farm and hydrant system is a technological advantage for the Kingdom of Bahrain. We're bringing world-class ability to deliver jet fuel to Bahrain International Airport that will compete with any other airport in the region. In designing the project, we used all the latest standards around environmental requirements and so on, so we minimize emissions from, we are of course handling jet fuel. It is a hydrocarbon, and so we use technology in order to make sure that jet fuel always stayed within the pipe, that we minimized emissions, that we minimized the possibility of leaks. So we used latest available technology, world-class technology in designing and building this depot.
This particular project was vital and is a pivotal to the vision of Bahrain financial economy 2030, and it was very important that we conclude this particular project in time to attract Bahrain as the hub of aviation fueling, attracting all the airlines to come to Bahrain.
Delegated by His Majesty the King, the Minister of Housing and Urban Planning, Amna Ramehi, participated in the opening session of the 5th Budapest Demographic Summit under the title Family is the Key to Security. The Minister stressed the importance of the summit, which seeks to confront the demographic, economic, health and social challenges facing families around the world. Ramehi praised the topics and discussions of the summit, which takes into consideration the need to find appropriate solutions to spare families the negative effects of conflicts and political and economic conditions in some regions, to maintain the sustainability of societal security and secure the future of generations. She noted that Bahrain is one of the leading countries in the field of supporting Bahraini families and providing them with decent means of living, as the government provides many social services to citizens, social support programs to those with limited income, free educational and health services, job opportunities, in addition to supporting elderly groups and providing plans and programs that serve the youth and Bahraini women. The Minister of Industry and Commerce, Abdullah Fakhro, stressed the importance of strengthening cooperation partnership with the standardization bodies in the GCC countries. His comments came as he headed Bahrain's delegation in the 51st GCC meeting of the Ministerial Committee for Standardization Affairs in Amman, with the participation of the GCC Ministers of Commerce, GCC Secretary General Jassan Abdewi, and the GCC Ministers of Industry. The Minister noted that the gains and advantages that came through integration in various areas of standardization would contribute to supporting the Gulf economy by emphasizing the importance of imported and exported products that meet technical requirements and smart conformity assessment procedures. On the sidelines of the meetings of the Industrial and Commercial Cooperation Committees of the GCC in Amman, the Minister of Industry and Commerce met with the Minister of State for Trade and Business in the United Kingdom, Nigel Huddleston, in the presence of a number of senior officials from both sides. The Minister affirmed the UK's position as a major investment partner, pointing out the steady growth of economic and trade relations, which reflects the depth of historical relations that tie both countries. The meeting also discussed a number of issues of common interest and ways to develop and increase the volume of upcoming bilateral investments. The Minister affirmed Bahrain's keenness to enhance aspects of cooperation with the UK in all fields, especially in trade and commerce. He also praised the positive outcomes since the announcement of the free trade agreement between GCC and the UK in 2021, which marked a strategic step towards enhancing relations between both parties. The Minister of Industry and Commerce also headed the Bahraini delegation in the 51st meeting of the GCC Industrial Cooperation Committee in Amman. He affirmed the keenness of Bahrain to continue with cooperation and exchange of experiences with GCC countries in a way that enhances and supports Gulf economy, especially in the industrial sector. The meeting discussed a number of topics of common interest with the aim to contribute to the advancement of the GCC industrial sector, which can help Bahrain to enhance and develop this sector within the industrial sector strategy. The Minister of Industry and Commerce also participated in the opening of the first Gulf Industrial Exhibition in Amman on the sidelines of the 51st meeting of the Industrial Cooperation Committee. The Minister affirmed that achieving comprehensive industrial development in the GCC countries is reflected in enhancing production efficiency and raising the quality of the industrial sector's outputs in order to enhance GDP and investment opportunities. He praised the exhibition's positive impact on participating Bahraini industrial companies, noting the exhibition's contribution to diversifying the the joint work of the GCC's industrial sector. The ceremony included an honoring of Gulf investors and factories, including a number of Bahraini factories participating in the exhibition.